Welcome to another edition of the Postgame Wrap. I'm Jarret Johnson, and Texas Tech football fell to Oklahoma State 50-44 in a wacky game in Stillwater on Saturday. And the Red Raiders did a lot of really good things, in all phases of the game. But boy, they did some bad stuff too: turnovers, poor execution, and once again, some really questionable in-game decisions. The Red Raiders in Oklahoma State, really, they played kind of a by-the-book kind of first half, give and take there. Oklahoma State got out to a 21-17 lead at the half, and then the two defenses came out and played really well. Both of them, they got consecutive stops. Texas Tech forced a fumble. Colin School actually forced two on the day, one early in the second half, and I think the Red Raiders actually got three stops in a row there early on in the second half, and then scored to take the lead on a really nice pass from Alan Bowman to Eric Ezekama, who I'll get to him later, but EZ had himself a game. Really good football game Saturday in Stillwater. In a losing effort, unfortunately. And here's the deal. Here's what everyone's talking about. It always seems like it's a questionable decision by head coach Matt Wells in the kicking game. It's like, how many ways can you hinder your team's momentum and chances at winning through the kicking game, whether it be the sky kick, actually not kicking a field goal against Houston Baptist late, which would have put it out of reach when it was like basically an extra point type deal and you're up by 8. They got through that because Houston Baptist was on the verge of time, but they didn't convert the 2-point conversion. Then against Texas, of course, the sky kick, which kind of started this snowball effect where you blew a 15-point lead in the final 3 minutes against Texas. I can go down the list. You've had 4 punts blocked, which isn't necessarily on Coach Wells in a decision from him, but on the other hand, you have to take some blame as a coaching staff if you allow 4 punts to be blocked in a season. That's a lot. And then, of course, the decision in Fort Worth to kick a field goal in 2nd and 4 when you were driving and had momentum. Now, I'm not saying Tech would have won that game. They were down by 9, but you certainly ended any opportunity to do so there. And then this wasn't in the kicking game. It was a slide from Sir Roger, but which I really didn't have a problem with it. You actually did slide to set up your field goal unit, which won the game. It won, so I'm actually one of the least critical people around, whether it be a fan or journalist, about that decision, because they won, and I think you could debate that. When I asked Coach Wells in the postgame about the onside kick, thereafter your defense had been playing well, you just took a lead 28-24, which Oklahoma State returned for a touchdown. So Tech basically overran the ball. Oklahoma State returned for a touchdown. The following possession, Alan Bowman throws a pick 6, and you're playing from behind the whole rest of the game after you had just taken momentum. So I asked Coach Wells after the game about that decision. He was asked in a previous question why he did it. He said he had come up with it during the week. Him and the staff, they saw something that they liked on tape. It was confirmed during the game. At halftime, they said, okay, well, next time we score, we're going to do it. We're going to go for it. He said they wanted to be aggressive, that they just didn't execute. My follow-up was, okay, I understand you saw all that, but if your defense is playing well and just gotten 3 consecutive stops, is there a point where you say, hey, maybe we should scrap this? And Coach Wells, he said, look, you can debate that, but that they thought they had an advantage. They wanted to play to win. They wanted to play aggressively. As a team, they didn't execute, which I think is kind of being misconstrued that he's throwing it on the players. I don't know. If that's the way you want to take it, then that's fine. I personally don't take it that way. I think he's saying they, as a team, didn't execute. The coaches, that's part of it too, is helping their players execute. So that's my personal takeaway, but I think it was a terrible decision. I think someone should have stepped in there and said, look, we have momentum. We just took the lead. The defense is playing great. Let's not jack with that momentum. Let's keep it going. Even like autopilot type decision, like let's just keep playing sound football, I think would have been a better decision. Now, Texas Tech fought throughout the game. The defense would struggle late, obviously. Oklahoma State ended up with 50 points, though 14 of those, or at least 13 of those, came off special teams and a pick 6. But there's no doubt. Anybody who's watching that game knows that the whole game changed on that play. Even the TV announcers were saying so, but it just you don't have to be a football savant to know that the game was going one way and then it completely changed. Now, there were some other momentum changers. Tech did fight back. There were some good things, which I'll get into. But the bottom line is the Red Raiders fell to 3-6, 2-6 in the Big 12 play, and it was another case where to me, an obvious poor in-game coaching decision in the kicking game really hurt your team rather than help. So it doesn't seem to be getting better. It just seems to happen every week. I even said at halftime on Inside the Red Raiders in the premium game thread, like, I wonder what play we're all going to be discussing, what crazy play we're going to be discussing after the game. Well, here it is, But that's going to be debated. That's going to be talked about, and then everybody's going to have their pitchforks and brooms and whatnot, torches and pitchforks ready to sweep the coaching staff out of town. But there were some good things that happened. I think there were some really good player performances that I want to mention here. So, well, actually, as a team, I want to say the Red Raiders actually netted 639 yards. That's a lot of yards against this Oklahoma State defense. This is a pretty good Oklahoma State defense, and you put up a lot of yards. You put up 255 yards on the ground. You gave up 317, even though they were without Chuba Hubbard. They're two top backs. So, but you ran for 6.7 yards per carry. I mean, you were really running the ball. And then, you also passed for 385 yards. So, I mean, you put up monster numbers today and still weren't able to get it done because of some of those poor decisions, poor execution, whatever you want to call it. Those poor plays there that were really big momentum changing plays. I want to mention some outstanding individual performances from Texas Tech now. Alan Bowman, he did throw that pick six, and that was a bad play. That was a huge play in the game. There's no doubt. I mean, they absolutely could not afford to have that play when they had it right after that onside kick touchdown, but it happened. He actually finished 31 for 46 for 384 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. He also knocked the ball out of his own hand late. It ended up not costing him. He got back on it, but that was a weird play. So Roderick Thompson had 2 long touchdowns. Both of them came on a 4th down. He had 17 carries for 133 yards and 2 touchdowns and average of 7.8 yards. So one of my keys was you got to feed Sir Roderick. They did to an extent, and he produced. You have one of the best running backs in the Big 12. I just hope they keep giving him the ball. All right, some receivers. I mentioned EZ. Eric Ezekama had an outstanding game. He finished with 7 catches. He was targeted 9 times. He caught 7 passes for 183 yards and 2 scores. So, tremendous performance from EZ. I wish they would have thrown deep to him more, to be honest. Loic Fwanji, who I really like. I've been saying I'm waiting for him to get his opportunity. He got an opportunity, made a one-hand grab for a touchdown late that made the game really interesting. It was a 31-yard diving grab. It was really nice. Those were really your skill player, your standouts. But defensively, you had some guys make some really good plays as well. Marcus Fields had his hands full. He was matched up one-on-one with Tyler Wallace, but he had 9 tackles, a tackle for loss, 2 pass breakups. I think he played well. I really did. He gave up some plays. He's playing against All-American. Really good player I have a lot of respect for. I think some guys are overhyped. I would even say Chuba Hubbard, honestly, in some cases I feel like he's overhyped, but Tyler Wallace is the real deal. And Fields went head-to-head, gave up some big plays, made some big plays. I think all in all, played a good game. Adam Beck, again, 9 tackles. He made some good plays. He was in the right place most of the time. I mentioned Colin Schooler. He finished with 6 tackles. He forced 2 fumbles, which could have been huge plays in the game. But they were huge plays in the game. He continues to make plays and be a difference maker out there. Rico Jeffers went down early with a knee injury. We still don't know the status of that injury. Coach Will said they'll know more on Monday. Rico Jeffers is a big loss, but some of those linebackers stepped up. Krishan Merriweather had 7 tackles. So these guys, they played all right. Zach McPherson, he had an interception. He's been big. He's had come up with several turnovers this year. So, and I think I'm going to end it with just these players continue to play hard, but Wells continues to make these puzzling decisions. Even Zach McPherson was asked, and it was a leading question, but he was asked in the postgame by one of the media members, local media members, given the fact that defense had played so well to start the second half, did that force you to question Wells' decision to try that onside kick? And Zach said straight up, yeah. You can see why we would ask that, because they were playing well. They did have some momentum going on both sides of the ball, but especially on defense with those consecutive stops. And it did force them to wonder, second guess why they decided to do that onside kick. But he also says it's a team sport. Win together, lose together. Sometimes you got to make the aggressive call, which Coach Wells did. They took it on the chin on that, Zach said, but, they're a team. He also credited the coaching staff for really improving the defense this year, which I think people would debate that. I see some improvement from last year, for sure. They've allowed the offense to stay in games, but ultimately, these decisions to make some of these weird calls have really cost Tech this year. That's the bottom line. We'll never know if Tech would have held on and won today. But I do know that changed the momentum of the game. Anyone who watched it could see that, and obviously his own players admitted that, yeah, you have to second guess that one. So we'll have to see. Tech has one more game left. I think now they're out of bowl contention. I think you had to be at least 5-5. But obviously for this whole program and this coaching staff, Tech has to beat Kansas in the finale at home. You haven't. You lost to Kansas last year for the first time in forever. You can't lose to Kansas. This Kansas team is even worse than last year. You can't lose to Kansas at home on senior day and all that in the finale. You have to take care of business. Finish with 4 wins. It is what it is, and then they'll have to build off that this off season. Just get through this COVID season, this crazy year, in the finale against Kansas, and then we'll move. They'll move on from there. I don't think it's negotiable that you have to beat Kansas, or it's going to get ugly here in Lubbock. So I think they will, but we'll see what happens. So with that, I want to thank you for watching, and until next time.